Hi everyone, good evening. I hope you've been trading well. So we're changing the format slightly now. As you would have already realized, we have not published any Indian market trading videos in the last couple of days, right? So instead of having it on a daily basis and looking at Nifty and Bank Nifty, what we're going to be doing now is we will be having it on a weekly basis, which is every Friday evening. We will share a video on Nifty for the stocks that you can trade for the next week. All right, so the stock that I have filtered out for my portfolio for the next week for my intraday trades, you can use this to trade on options, you can use it to trade on futures, or you could also use it to trade on short-term weekly time frame on the cash market. Right, so I'll be sharing that list with the analysis on weekly basis every Friday evening, because daily videos, since the market is not moving a lot, it doesn't make sense to do it on a daily basis. We know that the market would take a week entirely to move from one support to the next support or resistance to the next resistance. Alright, so starting off with Adani Power, as you can see that we'll be doing this analysis on the weekly chart first. Now what you see here is that we had a downtrend, and then from August 2012 onwards, we have been kind of sideways, all right? And now, finally, we see a breakout of the recent resistance, not the old one, but the recent consolidation is broken out, indicating that we should be looking at a upward move from here, all right? So I'm bullish on this, but before getting into the bullish side, I would still wait for some pullbacks. Okay, so the price at which I'd like to enter would be around 56. Now if you go, that's a 38% retracement level. As you can see, price is slowly coming there. So yes, intraday you can also short until this price, but make sure that you see the price breaking 23.6 first. All right, a good ideal price to start buying Adani Power would be after it touches 56.75. That's when I would expect the trend to start picking up. All right, so this can be seen sometime next week or maybe the week after, but this is on the watch list. Okay, then we're going to look at Apollo Hospitals. We'll start with the weekly. Okay, so as you can see, we had a bullish move and then a pullback. All right, this is our Fibonacci trading strategy. Big impulsive wave, a pullback exactly till 38.2%, and then we have a candlestick confirmation, which is our engulfing candle, right, indicating that now we are back to moving upwards. So for this week, we can try and target 1406. That's the first target for the current week. Once this price is broken, we will look at the next target, but we're not looking at that because resistance is strong. So we'll keep the next target for the following week. For now, the immediate target that we're looking for is 1406. Depending on whether there's a pullback, you can see the market coming back to 1337 before we go for the next move, right? So ideal entry price would be around 1337 and target would be 1406. Next we will take a look at Apollo Tyres. Okay, as you can see, price has been falling. Right, we're in a strong downtrend. We have some support coming up, but for the next week, we have a good enough target. So you can see there was a pullback of 50%, and now we have again broken and closed on the weekly chart below 23.6. So the next target is the recent swing low, which as you can see is at 174. Okay, so that's a view for Apollo Tyres. Good stock to short, and target is 174. Now we'll take a look at Axisbank, and Axisbank, there is a harmonic pattern indicating that we are looking at further upside move. Alright, so what is happening here is actually called a complex pullback. So you see, this was the move, this was the correction, and in between that another move and another correction, right? So this is a complex pullback. We will draw it. We have these levels. Okay, somewhere around here. That's the Gartley, which is actually forming in Axisbank, right? So this is not really a reversal. It just shows that we can expect the market to touch around 737 and bounce up from here. All right, so I would not advise you to short, because that 737 can also be in just one single spike. But once you see price touching the 740, 738 range, you can go ahead and start buying. In fact, the Axis Bank, if this happened this week, that would be good, because Axis Bank call option at 850, no, at 800 CE is right now for about 2.5 rupees. All right, because obviously everyone thinks that this is going to fall. Now, if you get an entry around this level, you can get a very good trade. So just keep an eye out on this and keep checking the call options for this stock. Now we're going to take a look at BEL. Again, as you can see, we have seen that BEL has already made a consolidation, a breakout, and right now what we're seeing is basically a pullback. All right, so we're expecting further upside from here, maybe in a day or two. But if you see the weekly chart, the daily chart, price did fall, and then it is forming a symmetrical triangle. All right, so this is a good indication, just that you need to wait for the breakout. All right, most probably we should be breaking out on the upside. Once we see the breakout, you can start to buy in BEL. These are all trades for the coming week. Next, we'll take a look at Canara Bank. Okay, Canara Bank, as you see, has been consolidating in this range for quite some time, right? This is all the way from March 2018. And now we see that we're looking at a breakout, a rejection here. So obviously the confirmation would be only after we see a breakout of 302, but you can look at a buy targeting 302. You can see the spike of this this week. So looking at that, 302 is a good target for the coming week on Canara Bank. You can see that there's a chart pattern here. The lows are getting higher, and if you look at the bigger picture, the highs are actually pretty much constant. So, or you can also look at immediately, if you were to look at the pattern, we have a symmetrical triangle, right? So we're just looking at capturing the high. Once that breaks, then we look at a further upside move. Next trade to check is Escorts. Starting from the weekly chart, you can see that we had a downward move, then a correction which went in an upward channel, and then a breakdown, and then a pullback, further downside move, right? So I'm looking at further downside, but for this week my target is just the recent swing low. As you can see, we had a impulsive wave, then a corrective wave, we have a rejection, so I'm looking at targeting just this recent low, which is at 513. So that's my target on Escorts. That's 513 for this week. Okay, now we'll take a look at Federal Bank. On the weekly chart, what I see here is a reverse head and shoulder, right? So this is the start of the trend. This is your shoulder, that's the head, and this is the right shoulder. All right, so as you can see, it has already been moving in the direction of the opposite to the head and shoulder, right? So what needs to be noticed here is the target. So whenever you have a head and shoulder, the way it works is the distance from the neckline to the head, all right, and the same distance is what will be your first target. So Federal Bank, we are looking at a target of 117, which is also the previous resistance, right? So until then, we're still bullish on Federal Bank. Just the thing is that you can see the way it moves. This movement can suddenly happen in like 1 or 2 days. So just be careful. Or otherwise, it's a good trade. You can see that we have the swing lows which are getting higher and higher. Price is slowly moving up. We have an engulfing today. So further upside is what you can expect in Federal Bank. First target 110, and after that we have our weekly target, which is also, it might take a week more, it might take 1 or 2 weeks more, but the next final target that we're looking for is 117. Now we'll take a look at Grasim. Okay, and those of you who have studied with us the swing high strategy, as you can see, we have this swing high, then we have a swing low, we have a lower low, and then we have a higher low, right? So as per our swing high strategy, also on the weekly chart, you can see the lows were getting lower and lower, and suddenly we have a higher low. Now this looks similar to a head and shoulder, but it's not made very accurately. That's why we're not using it as a head and shoulder. But although we still have a swing high strategy entry coming up, which means as soon as we see a breakout of this resistance here, that's when we get our trade. Now we already have rejection this week, so for trading on this week, I would be targeting levels between 950 and 962, and once that is broken, I'm looking at further upside till 1094. All right, so 950, 962 and 1094. So this week the first target that we look at is 950. Once that is breached, then we look at further upside. As you can see, price is slowly moving up, so this seems like a good trade to me. Next trade that we're going to check is LIC Housing Finance. And we look at this on the weekly chart first. Here again I have a head and shoulders, reverse head and shoulders pattern. I hope you guys can also spot it. Right, so the trend starts from here, and the first shoulder that I'm looking at is the left shoulder, which is here. Okay, followed by the head, then the third shoulder. And right now what is doing it, it is doing a pullback again at the neckline, right? So we have a left shoulder, head, again shoulder, and then a pullback, which makes it an ideal candidate to be on the buying side, because this is a very good support. You can take an entry somewhere around here and look at further upside. So all you need to do is wait for an hourly confirmation. As soon as you see hourly chart breaking this high or making a strong bullish body dominating green candle close, you can again take a buy entry. Alright, so this is a good trade for this week. You're at buying just at the neckline, expecting the market to further move on the upside. Right, so a lot of chart patterns in this week's analysis. Okay, now let's take a look at Nestle. And if you see, this is our weekly chart. What we see here is a very clear pattern, which is our ascending triangle. Okay, so we can see that the swing lows are getting higher and higher and higher. We have 3 higher swing lows, and then the swing highs were actually constant, right? Then what happened was a breakout of the resistance. You can see there was a breakout, body dominating candle, and then a pullback, right? So we are right now at the pullback. Once this pullback is completed, we can enter. Now daily chart, you already have a signal that the pullback is done because of this bullish engulfing candle that we see here, right? So this indicates this is time to enter into Nestle and hold on for the next bullish wave, which is after the breakout, right? So Nestle is a bullish stock for next week. I'm not giving a target here because, as you can see, we are on all-time high, so we will try and trade beyond the trend. Okay, now we will look at another index, which is the IT index. As we have a nice pattern, Nifty IT, we have a nice pattern on this. You guys would have already figured it out. We have our head and shoulder again. We have our first shoulder followed by a head, and the next shoulder. Now what we've seen is price has already broken out of this, but generally there's a pullback. All right, so I would enter this trade after a pullback again to the neckline. So keep an eye on this, and once you do see a pullback happening around this level, 15,580, 570 levels, that is when you can take an entry. Okay, but since we have a head and shoulder, as you know, we have a good move that we can expect. And in terms of target, we'll just look at the target. So the next target that we are expecting in this is our is at 14,284. Okay, but again, make sure you look at the pullback before you take an entry into this. REC, since one of our students had asked us to do an analysis on this, we'll just take a look at this. This is our weekly chart. You can see that price went up, came back down, a lot of rejection here, but the trend is actually bullish. We had a breakout, then we have a strong pullback. Alright, so it's quite volatile. It's been quite volatile this entire week. You can see it gapped down and fell, and now it's doing a pullback. So this is still, it's actually not a pullback. It is now going back in the direction. So I'm bullish on this. I'm expecting it to again touch the recent high very soon. So that's my view on REC. Just that since it's a Monday, you'll have to wait and see what your best entry would be. But otherwise, in terms of direction, I'm bullish on this. State Bank of India recently came out of a consolidation. As you can see this week, we have done a pullback and we have a strong rejection again at the support. So expecting further upside on SBI. First target obviously would be the recent swing high, but we should be looking at a new high very soon in this week. Alright, so that's it for now, guys. These are the trades shortlisted for the current week. Please go through this analysis and also share your views on the same. Apart from this, if you have any other stocks to check, you can post. Also for next week, please share your comments about which stocks you want to check for the shortlisted trades or shortlisted stocks for next week. Alright, that's it for now. See you guys. Bye-bye.